Almost good evening, everyone. We're a minute or two late in starting. Welcome to the Cultural Commission meeting, October 18th, 22. At this point, public notice, I guess I have to read it. Who wish to view or watch mainstream, they can. The public may provide comment in advance of a meeting by written submission to the following email. Okay. So is there anyone in the public who would like to make a comment? Seeing no one, we'll have call to order and a roll call, please.
Chairperson Dineo,
Here.
Commissioner Leyva, Commissioner Abao, Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Mowers, Commissioner Drysdale. A quorum is present.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so weird that Sierra's not here, but we have wonderful news with Sierra anyway. So at this point, I would like to have a discussion and or a motion on the minutes of July 20. We did that. I don't want to go to that, but I said that before. Anybody wishing to speak may please discuss on any comment that is relevant to or within the authority of this public body. Anyone? Seeing no one, we'll move on. Possible action, approval of minutes of July 25, 2022. Open for comment and discussion.
I move to approve the minutes of July 25th, 2022 as presented.
So we have a motion and a second. Any comments, any discussion? Anybody want to say anything? Okay, on the motion, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It carries unanimously. So again, the public comment thing. We are now on item, where are we? 5A. Discussion and presentation regarding the update of the arts and culture program activities since the last Carson City Cultural Commission meeting held in June 2022, as well as an update on program delivery. And is that you, Deborah, who is going to be doing that? Okay. It's kind of out of order. We should.
Good evening. Just a quick update on some of the activities happening with respect to the CTA Arts and Culture program since our last meeting. I wanted to update you on the cultural maps, talk about the Reno Tahoe Airport Art Exhibition, the Sierra Arts Foundation collaboration projects that are currently being proposed, and Mark Twain Day's benefit show coming up soon. So the cultural asset maps, which I'm sure you'll recall me describing to you previously, are now very close to in their final format. We have the database has been converted to the GIS format, and this slide just gives you images of what the map actually looks like and how it works. So when you first open up the maps, you'll see the large illustration with a map that includes numbered items that are associated with each of the tabs across the top. So we have organizations, facilities, cultural heritage, creative businesses, arts, education, events and festivals, and public art tabs. And when you click on any of those, I've clicked here for an example, on the organization tab, and it shows you all of the destinations and organizations in Carson City associated with arts and culture. And the small slides up on the small illustrations along the side show you what happens if you click on each of the numbers. It opens up a new screen for you, gives an illustration and some basic information about each of the entries on the map. And when you click on the website icon on that slide, it takes you directly to, and here's an example I've given, the Capital City Arts Initiative. It takes you directly to their website, so you can see exactly what's taking place in terms of their programming. If there's tickets for sale, you can purchase them. If you need to contact them, you can contact them. So it's very interactive and I think fairly comprehensive. And that's going to be the layout for all of the map entries.
Wonderful.
I wanted to also give you an update on the Reno Tahoe Airport Art Exhibition that's taking place from November 3rd to February 1st. We're in the final phases of assembling and about to install the exhibition, which is an exhibition that tells the story of the Stewart Indian School Cultural Center and Museum, and also features artwork, both from throughout their history artwork created by students who went to the school, as well as artwork that's currently being exhibited in their cultural center by current Great Basin artists. So it should be a really interesting exhibition, and it runs through the Christmas period, which we're absolutely delighted about. It will take in some of the period when the legislature is in session too, so it should get a lot of viewing and quite a bit of traction. And it's just wonderful to see the Reno Tahoe Airport featuring one of Carson City's most interesting cultural destinations.
A question, comment?
Mhm.
Who were the organizations involved in putting this together other than the Stewart Indian folks? Were you involved in the
I've
project?
been partnering with Bobby, the director of the Stewart Indian School Cultural Center.
Yeah.
So it's really been the two of us putting this together.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Doing the installations.
Myself and an assistant, and Bobby an assistant. Yeah. We also have a couple projects that just this week have been proposed that I'm hoping will also be proposals that will be considered in partnership with Parks and Recreation, especially given the first proposal, which is to have Sierra Arts Foundation partner with us to bring outdoor arts and culture performances onto a golf course. This is a project that they've run twice in Reno, and it's been really successful. It was really part of their efforts to increase the accessibility of arts during the pandemic, bringing arts into the outdoors. And so that they're wondering if they might be able to do the same thing here in Carson City. And so I will invite them back to speak with Sierra and Parks and Rec as well as myself to see if something could be coordinated. And they're proposing essentially to have performances, dance, music, and theater on different fairways. And how they've run it in the past is that they sell tickets to the performances. People rent golf carts, and travel to each hole and watch their performances and move on to the next. So there's no golf involved in it, but it's a wonderful outdoor platform for arts performance.
We did it for Concert Under the Stars. So,
did you?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and Duncan Golf was great with regards to it. We did it at Eagle Valley. And Parks and Rec was great, and Public Works was great, and everybody worked together. So it's just, working through all those entities.
It could be a really fun event, absolutely. And they're looking at something next spring or early summer, so.
May I take a moment and ask that everyone speaking, please identify yourself for the record.
Okay. Deborah Soul, for the record. The other proposal that is being discussed is to hold an art show on the legislature grounds. And I think that's fairly self-explanatory. They were just curious about what the approvals processes are, so I've forwarded the applications and there's discussions taking place. Again, this is an event that they wouldn't be looking at holding until next spring or early next summer.
It would be nice when the Barbara, when the legislature's in session.
Exactly.
And all the reconstruction work hopefully will be done.
And finally, in conjunction with next spring's Mark Twain Days Festival, McAvoy Lane, the Ghost of Mark Twain, has agreed to do a benefit show, donating all of the proceeds, all the ticket sales to the Mark Twain Days Festival Fund. And that's taking place this coming Saturday evening at 7 o'clock at the Brewery Arts Center. It's in the Black Box Theater. There's lots of festivities and refreshments associated with it, so it should be a fun performance. I have some posters, small and large, if anybody would like to take a few with them today. And I'm just encouraging everybody who's able to go to attend, because every penny that we get will go towards the festival fund, which is wonderful. Thank you. That's it for me. Are there any questions?
Bethany Drysdale for the record. Can you talk a little bit more about the event on Saturday? What's the lineup? What's the show going to be like, or the performance?
The performance this Saturday evening is called Mark Twain's Nevada. So he's focusing specifically on the time when Mark Twain was in Nevada. So that'll be stories about him journeying into when he was living here and all of his escapades while he was here. So it should be fun, and it's going to be theater in the round. So it should be a fun setting, and he's really looking forward to an entertaining and interactive evening with the audience.
That's lovely. You've been very busy and have done some great stuff since we last met. Thank you very much. Okay, we are on item 5B, which is just as fun as it can be. Discussion and presentation regarding the introduction of Sierra Scott, the new Carson City Arts and Culture Supervisor, and an overview of the positions, the duties of the position. Jennifer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jennifer Budge, Parks and Recreation Director. So happy to be here and have Sierra on this side. I know we stole her from you guys, but I can't tell you how excited we are to have her part of the Parks and Rec team. We really wanted to get more arts and culture incorporated into our special events and programming, and we've had all these ideas and just no way to be able to do it, and we're so glad that we have her here. She's got amazing experience, and I think we're going to do some wonderful things with her as part of the team. So I think she's going to talk to you a little bit about what we have looking forward, and we were just happy to have her here, and she's hit the ground running already. So thank you so much.
Great.
Sierra Scott, hi all. I'm just going to hit the major points of the job duties. You all have the full spec, but basically implementing and managing the Arts and Culture Strategic Plan and the Public Art Policy as adopted. And within that, I'll be organizing, planning, and coordinating cultural and special community events hosted by Parks, Recreation, and Open Space as well. So those are the two things we're going to talk about today. The first event we have coming up is Bonanza on October 27th. It's the 6th annual event. It's going to be here at Mills Park. We've got over 70 businesses and organizations right now, decorating booths outside, weather permitting. So everyone keep your fingers crossed for good weather. There's also going to be food trucks, and the Mills Park train is running, and youth performers from Youth Theater Carson City. So that's the first one coming up. And then I'm also working on Homestead Holidays, which is out at Silver Saddle Ranch, which I hadn't been to until recently, and it's lovely out there. It's going to be a really beautiful event, and also looking at incorporating more specific arts and culture into this event as well. Maybe some youth arts stations for kids to create some visual art, things like that. So we've been talking a lot about injecting more arts and culture into already existing events, as well as creating new specific arts and culture programming. So kind of doing both of those things concurrently. Let's see what else I have. I'm working with Deborah on the Mark Twain mural and Mark Twain Days, and looking at starting a teaching artist series, possibly starting with creative aging. That's proposed right now, but hopefully at the next meeting I'll have a little bit more to chat with you all about with that. So that's kind of what's on the docket currently.
That's called hitting the ground running. Welcome aboard, Sierra. It's lovely that we hate having you leaving here, but to have you on the other side of the table with your expertise and talent, it's wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, and thank you, Jennifer. Good choice with that. Okay, it's kind of a light agenda. Item number 6, action item, possible action, discussion and possible action regarding a potential youth art project utilizing trash containers located at Lone Mountain Cemetery. Sierra?
Yes, Sierra Scott for the record. So there's a proposal to foster youth engagement in arts and culture programs by involving them in the beautification and preservation of the cemetery, specifically possibly a youth art contest for the trash containers throughout the cemetery. This is, there's not a lot of specifics on this proposed project at the moment, so I really want to open this up for discussion for you all as far as what this would look like and what it would entail and if it's something that we want to move forward with. I believe Barb knows a little bit more background about the project if you want to comment on that.
Yes, the mayor had solicited help from the Rotary Club quite a while ago, and we replaced the headstone that was damaged and so on. And while doing that, the mayor said, look at these oil drums as trash cans. What can we do? And since there are American flags everywhere now in the older part of the cemetery, and we just finished several weeks ago cleaning all of the brush and stuff out of the grave sites and around them and so on and so on. Then the next thing on the mayor's docket is this project, what to do with 55-gallon oil drums that look pretty. Well, I don't like them. I don't know about anybody else. Something needs to happen, and my concern is there's 55-gallon oil drums in a cemetery. And if we decorate them and paint them, they're subject to the elements. And I mean, it's wonderful to have the kids involved in a project, but I don't know what it is that we would be endorsing or saying that we would like to have happen there. I wish there was something other than oil drums in a cemetery. That's my comment.
I'd like to make a comment. First of all, they can be, I mean, they do electrical boxes and they withstand the elements, so I see that as a non-issue. But and Karen Abad for the record, but I do feel that there should be a theme. And I did mention before, perhaps the Day of the Dead, which is something that we did a few years back at the museum. And there was so much youth participation in that because they celebrate death. So if the theme can be a celebration of, basically a celebration of life in death through the Day of the Dead, it would be a good theme for the kids to explore. So to me, it provides a learning opportunity as well as opportunity for creativity. And who knows what they can do with an oil drum.
Barbara, for the record, I'm a little concerned about those individuals whose loved ones are there in the cemetery. Would they be included in having an opportunity to talk about this, to know what it is that's being considered? I mean, I would hate to have skulls or kind of things and just freak out the people who've got loved ones there. So this, to me, this is a very delicate project, and how it is put together, and you know, what we're asking for to me is really sensitive stuff. So that's my comments.
Bethany Drysdale for the record. I like the idea of celebrating life there. I wonder if maybe it could be, across cultures. I wonder what the Paiute celebration of life looks like. I wonder what, the Day of the Dead, are there other cultures here that we can tap into and have advisory for sure, because we do not want to accidentally trip over somebody's culture and not do it correctly and do it justice. But a celebration of life there, not just Day of the Dead.
I agree. I like that thought process. And I think across cultures, there's all different ways to celebrate life. So tactfully, Barbara's right. I think, and that's all part of the jurying of what is brought forward, part of the process, I think.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jennifer Budge, Parks and Recreation Director. I do want to recognize and let you know I completely agree with the drums as they are. They are an eyesore. They're an
Yeah,
opportunity,
they are.
and they're a need as well. They serve a function, obviously, and they have a purpose, but it's not great looking. I fully recognize that. The mayor and especially the Daughters of the American Revolution, we've had Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts, so many groups, especially recently, really investing and reinvesting in the cemetery. So recently, we've had more than $20,000 donated. We're updating all of the signage throughout the cemetery. Very professional, printed, cemetery that or signs that go with our sign master plan that was approved. There's a lot of new things at the cemetery being upgraded. I am concerned about the sensitivity that Commissioner Dineo brought up about the facility. Anytime we have changes, it's a very sensitive thing with the people that have loved ones there. We have a lot of different religions, different beliefs buried at that cemetery, so we do want to be respectful of that. I love the celebration of life concept and the Day of the Dead, and we have a lot of Hispanic cultural influence there. There's Wanganima masonry when you walk into the cemetery, the pillars that on both sides, which is really important to the local history of that site. I would suggest, I do think there's a great opportunity at the cemetery in general. I'm not sure what that might look like. Potentially public arts. Sierra and I were kind of brainstorming yesterday. And the cemetery does have an opportunity for arts and culture and interpretation. Right now we have QR codes on many of our grave sites. You can hold up your phone and get the history about that person and their influence on the community. So we do have a lot of opportunities already presented there. I am concerned about the trash cans and reimagining those and possibly, it just not fitting in with what we're going for with the signage and all of the things we're trying to do. We're trying to have it very understated, very classy, very simple and respectful of all the religions and beliefs of the systems that are the people there. So I'm wondering if maybe Sierra can brainstorm and think about some other opportunities at the cemetery in general to incorporate arts and culture there. And then maybe we could look at what I was thinking for the trash cans is, because they are very expensive, but to look more like what we have downtown. The really nice, the black, they're very simple, the classy facility that we could do that. And we could start with this budget year and start to do in a phased approach, or we can continue with the donations and other investment in that and find another opportunity for art and culture that might just not be so like prevalent and visible there.
You mean
I think
as opposed
sculptures.
to what's there?
Yeah. I think replacing the drums with something nicer, understated, something that's going to last and withstand elements. But I think that it could solve that portion. It might have to be a phased approach because they are expensive. But
Bethany
I think we
Drysdale.
can do it. Sorry.
Bethany, for the record, how many are we talking? How many are there?
I don't have a count for you. There's quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned QR codes because I was thinking about that too. If the art goes an education route, having some sort of interpretation with the symbols or whatever is incorporated, even if it ends up being symbols of the American West or something, whatever that might be, or great characters from our history. And again, I hope crossing cultural lines, not just wagon trains. But and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but thinking across cultural lines, but having a way for people to understand what that means and why that's there and why somebody took the time and the effort and the money to put that on a garbage can or whatever
Right.
we do.
And I think that's all great. We do have part of the money that we've had donated. We'll purchase a new kiosk, and I think we have enough money for two potential locations for like a great interpretive panel, so you can talk about the cultures and the history and the people in the cemetery. we have a Catholic section, a Hebrew section. We have all these different things, and perhaps, tying into those sections, there used to be, I think, 10 different cemeteries that were all molded into one. And looking at identifying those, and maybe through interpretive panels and maybe I think some sculptures and potential public art would be beautiful at the cemetery. And I think those would be great. I do think a youth contest and a youth engagement program would be great. And I know Sierra has a lot of ideas about that. But you have to have a lot of parameters too. Which age group are we doing? What's the focus? What's the theme maybe? What's a tie? So it's not so cumbersome. And I think Sierra deserves some time to build some relationships with the school district and, some other community partners so she can try to find the best way and the best avenue to do that. But I would suggest that we go after trash cans that look more like downtown, fit with our new sign theme. We have a lot of people donating like black, really nice benches like downtown.
Lovely.
Similar kind of theme, just really simple and stated so people can not be distracted when they're there and they can really focus on why they're there and the history of the site or whatever they're trying to reflect on. And then we could try to maybe find another avenue to meet the intent. Because I do think the premise behind the idea is really good.
A thought, perhaps a mosaic that the youth could participate in that is a celebration of life and cultures. So that becomes an art piece that is out there. That might be an option if the oil drums are off the table, which doesn't hurt my feelings.
Yeah. And they
Me.
necessarily aren't. We could always relocate them to a neighborhood park maybe and do that concept there. I think that might be more appropriate at a small neighborhood park location. And we have more than 30 parks, so we have a lot of opportunities for that. But I think a mosaic, we talked about a mural. I think there's a lot of wonderful ways we could probably incorporate arts and culture into Lone Mountain Cemetery. We also have another cemetery, Empire Cemetery, which, I consider a historic site. And we don't have active burials like we do at Lone Mountain there. And that's another great opportunity for some interpretation as well.
Barbara, for the record, I am so pleased that this discussion has happened because I've had the jitters on this one because I've been in and out working in that cemetery now, and I understand the sensitivity for the families, the grief, the concern that they have. And there are sections of that cemetery that are beautiful with grass and the rest of it. And then it really looks like you're out there in the desert with stuff just growing, and we've been trying to keep that out. I saw a concept was shown to me about painting those cans white with the American flag around them. And that kind of troubled me. So I think sensitivity, especially about the families, notice to the families so that you're not going to have it hitting the newspapers that, oh my goodness, what they've done in the cemetery. A review of the type that we're even thinking about. What would the contest say for young people? Next, what will artists in town say? Do we decide this is just for high schoolers? Is this open? What is it? There's to me, a lot of investigation that Sierra, you'll take on to sort of narrow this down so that we have it conceptualized appropriately, and the containers and so on. And depending on how much do those cost? Do you have any idea what the cost is?
I can get back to you on that. I don't want to give you the wrong number, but they're pretty expensive. And the worst part is the shipping because they're very, very heavy. They're so sturdy and durable, which is wonderful, but just the shipping costs are pretty significant. So what I would probably like to do is see what we have left over from our donations. We might be able to start through that existing pot of donations that we've received, from DAR and through the mayor and all of the Rotary Club is doing a memorial tree grove.
Yeah.
We just got word that the Home Depot Foundation is likely giving us $1,800 to purchase all new
Nice.
flags for the veteran sites, paints and stencils and other things so we can identify all the curbing and the markers so people can find their loved ones and the locations. and a lot of other just tools and supplies that we need for the site. So we have a lot of support, but it is a huge location and it requires significant maintenance.
It certainly will. And I mean, I'm not against it, but I just want to see the plan.
Yeah.
And we look at it from the standpoint of what's it going to look like. So,
And then I'll follow up with you and let you know what the cost of the new trash cans are, and we'll figure out a way. We also have a Parks Foundation that's a 501c3. We can
Nice.
enlist their support. So if people don't want to donate to the city, they want to go to a private nonprofit organization, and their whole purpose is to support our department. So
if they do that, that's tax deductible
absolutely.
as a 501. So
Yep.
good for them. That's a good idea.
Yeah. So I think we have a few avenues to go down that route, and then we'll look at replacing those eyesores and get something that's nice but also functional.
Any other comments? Well, it says here for possible action. So are we ready for that yet, or are we going to wait until we see a concept, a product that we literally can be discussing and voting on? What's the pleasure of the board?
I don't see what action we would take at this point.
To maybe empower Sierra to go forward and do some research on this project, see where we can take it.
Is that a motion you'd like to make?
I make the motion that Sierra Scott works forward on this project at the cemetery to see what direction it might tactfully take.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? Okay, on the item, a vote? Aye. There you go. We've done that one. Thank you very much. Well, we're on item 7, which is the Cultural Commission reports, comments. Thank you, both of you. We're really, really pleased. Karen?
First, on the greenhouse project, I just want to thank everyone who participated in the Grateful Harvest Dinner. It was the most successful event we have ever had. It was phenomenal. And we have already launched our flower basket sponsorship campaign for 2023. We've got 14 baskets sponsored out of 80 already, and the notices just went out last week. So
Got 2 more.
that's right. And the reason for the sponsorships, and there's different price points. It's $400 for 2 baskets or $225 for 1. And that the money is needed because the watering of those baskets goes on from June through September, so they have to be maintained. And to this point, Casanelli has been the ones that have been doing that, so that's where we are with that. And then I just wanted to make a comment. First of all, congratulations, Sierra. I've been on this commission for 12 years, makes me cry, and this is my last meeting. But I served with your dad, so this has come full circle, and I love it.
That's lovely. Yeah, that makes me very sad that this is your last meeting. But we've missed a point here, and that is there is a chair, but with Sierra, who was the vice chair, no longer in that position, I'm going to entertain with our 2 now new members, we need a vice chair. Does that need to be scheduled?
That does need to be scheduled.
Okay. Please have it for the next meeting because we need to have a vice chair. Okay? Thank you. Anything else that anyone, public comments? Any public comments? Future meetings and agenda items. Future meetings, Ms. Nancy? Who am I going to speak to now about future meetings? Sierra. Okay, Sierra. It says right here, and we do, at this meeting, we talk about the next time that we will be meeting. Yeah.
This is Sierra for the record. We had, Chair Janeo and I had discussed possibly implementing set quarterly meetings, but at this time, I think it's most appropriate to set a TBD meeting for January. We'll look at the schedule, and I will be in touch with everyone. But yes, I'll be in charge of scheduling and the coordination moving forward. So I will be in touch about that, if that is
Todd, is that
acceptable.
appropriate?
Sure.
Okay. Sure.
No, the noticing has gone out for people to apply for the Arts and Culture Commission. So probably once the board makes those choices, that would be a good time to schedule.
Okay, do we have a date on that as to when the close is on that and we choose, the soups will choose who's going to be replacing several people on the board?
Nancy Paulson, City Manager. I think we're shooting for the first meeting in January. I think it's January 5th, the first Thursday. Because at that point, we will be, because Stan will no longer be a Board of Supervisors, so we'll be able to appoint that position and then hold the interviews for the vacant positions. And then at the next Cultural Commission, then we would vote on the chair and the vice chair.
Who's terming off? Is Chris, because when this was reconstructed, it was like a bunch were just 1 year. I
Right,
have 4.
I believe it's Christopher
Christopher.
and Karen I think it's just those two.
And Stan.
And Stan, yeah.
Okay. And that will be you'll choose them, the Board of Supervisors will vote when?
That's the January 5th
The
meeting.
January
board.
5th meeting.
Is that Thursday?
Yeah.
I think so.
So
The first
then-
Thursday in January.
Well, because there's a lot coming up and a lot being done now in the art world. Thank you, everybody who's participated. I hope we don't go too far out before the commission meets again. So think about that.
I also wanted to thank Karen. I didn't even think about that this was the last, I wasn't thinking about this is the end of the year pretty much. So I just want to thank her for everything she's done for the arts and culture and just hanging in there through all the transitions and always having a smile on her face. And you're just wonderful. Thank you.
See, my pleasure. And it's so wonderful to see it have come to the point that it is now. So it's got some solid legs to fly with now. So that's great.
It's been a difficult time, but we have gotten to the place where Karen is happy that now it's in good hands in the future because it's been really iffy on and off. But this is good. And I feel confident with Jennifer, with Sierra, with Deborah, that there's a new focus and beginning in Carson City for arts and culture. And I am hoping that we have a lot more actual publicity about what's going on in arts and culture. Because I think while we may in this room know what's going on, I don't think about 56,000 people are very aware. So, let's please get it out there. I appreciate that. If there is nothing else to be decided or talked about, I'm going to say the meeting is adjourned.
Wait. Before you adjourn, we need one last public comment period.
The board will now, you're pretty funny, Todd. Hey, there aren't any other commissions that meet that have as much fun as this one does. So are there any public comments? Seeing and hearing none except for our attorney, the meeting is adjourned. I'm going to say the meeting is adjourned.
Wait. Before you adjourn, we need one last public comment period.
The board will now. You're pretty funny, Todd. Hey, there aren't any other commissions that meet that have as much close this meeting. So are there any public comments? Seeing and hearing none except for our attorney. The meeting is adjourned.